Does Zepbound stop working after a year? Hi, friends. I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping, and on today's episode, we're going to do a deep dive in that's science-based, talking about why weight loss drugs stop working and how to break past these plateaus. I've lost over 93 pounds the last 21 months being on GLP-1 medication. I started on Mounjaro, which moved to Zepbound because of the shortage. Same thing, just different FDA approvals, and then was on the Tirzepatide compound, and now back to Zepbound. And on today's episode, I want to do a deep dive as to why weight loss drugs feel like, because I do, I've said this over and over. I'm like, I feel like the medication has stopped working, that Zepbound is doing me dirty, that I had such appetite suppression starting off on Zepbound, and I feel like it's been taken away. Of that food noise is partially back, not fully, but partially. Food cravings for sure are they're back, but not at the full extent that they were. And then also that the appetite suppression, food cravings, and food noise, which scares me. And I don't know, I've talked to some of you in my free encouragement group, which I'll link, by the way, all of this information, my science-based information, down in the description link below, and a particular source that I want to encourage you with because she encourages me so much. Her name's Dr. Jenna, and I like her because she's science-based. She's a mom to, I think, 4 children, but she's very science-based. And so she has documentation along with her, the particular TikTok that I'm going to reference. She has evidence to support that, science-based evidence. And then I also have another article too that I think is really, really interesting that I want to share with you too along this. If you're on the same boat as me of where you're like, did it just stop working for me? Am I like, what am I going to do? And for me, it's been so disheartening. I didn't plan for this. And I am such a planner. Are you guys a planner? I'm a planner. And so what she said on there was exactly what I was saying. It's around a year or so, patients, and again, this is not medical advice. I'm not a healthcare provider. Always talk to your own healthcare provider. Simply my experience, strength, and hope. But Dr. Jenna was saying, and this was my experience, around a year or so, that people start to feel somewhat of a return of appetite, a return of cravings, food noise, slightly. And my husband and I were talking about it today because I was like, maybe I should stop taking GLP-1 medication, pause, and then come back and then just have a little break and see if I can like regain some of that. My husband and I both, my husband is a loving man, but is also very blunt sometimes, too blunt for me, was like, you'd gain all the weight back. And he's right. I really do think I would. And so the studies prove this. So it was SURMOUNT-1 trial, which was sustained over 3 years. And so with that trial, it does not mean that the medication is not working, which the people who are on that trial sustained weight loss, right? And so that's the biggest thing right now of where I'm at on my weight loss journey. And hopefully this will help you too, is that I still have more weight to lose. And so I'm kind of in this holding pattern. Now, my husband also reminded me, he's like, you've been traveling the last 4 weeks. And so that's been part of it. So for you, if you are kind of in this holding pattern too, have you been traveling a bunch? Have you been able to dedicate yourself fully into, and for me, honestly, I'm like, no, I've been on like vacation mode for the last 4 weeks. And so therefore I've not been able to go as hardcore as I want to, but watch out the next 6 weeks before Halloween. Your girl's moving and grooving. Next trial, that it was a select trial for semaglutide, was for 4 years. And then same thing, that trial was 4 years long. People had sustained weight loss. It's not like they lost it and then gained it back. In those trials, they continue to do. Now, Dr. Jenna also said that does not mean that there's not changes in therapy that are needed. Therapy meaning like GLP-1 therapy, but I always recommend mental therapy too. But changes in therapy, changes in doses, and additional therapy with it too. And so that's something for me that I've been looking into of like, okay, what else can I do? Right now, I am exhausting my food choices, tracking my food, which used to trigger the heck out of me. And I've gotten over that literally through the help of therapy. Unpacking for chronic obesity management, there's been a lot to unpack with that. And so I'm not triggered tracking my food. And I've also been lifting. And that also, I had major problems with that before and substantially less now so. So the medication over time, it may feel like it's not working, but it is. And so I also loved that Dr. Jenna said that she had wished that in those two trials, the Surmount 1 trial and then the Select trial, that they had like a graph for people's appetite suppression. So Eli Lilly, if you're watching while you're doing these trials, can you make a graph so we know, like some sort of levels of what people's appetite suppression was would be super. I know that that's not going to be included. Is super interesting. Another article on Medical News Today. So these are validating too. And Dr. Jenna talked about that as well, which I really appreciated. Validating people's experiences. If you are like me and you've been on this, I just dropped my paper. Woo, I'm dropping papers left and right. We're dropping papers left and right. Dr. Jenna really validated, and I appreciated that, about if you're feeling these things, which I have been, that a lot of people are. And so I felt so, after seeing that, I was like, I have to share that with viewers. I have to share that with viewers. And so I went over to Medical News Today. I like their website because they do also do fact checking on the articles that they put out that are science-based and data-based. I was talking on here about at a certain point, and I'll link this all in the description link below. At a certain point, semaglutide medication stops helping one shed pounds. At this plateau, no further weight loss is lost unless something meaningful changes. This means switching to stronger medication, meaning like going from semaglutide to tirzepatide, making dietary or exercise changes, although these measures do not always resolve the plateau, which I feel like I've scratched majorly the surface for meaningful eating changes and meaningful working out. But again, watch the next 5 weeks, 6 weeks, mark your words. Come November 1st, I'm going to be like, I'm going to hit that 100-pound weight loss. I don't know. I don't think I can lose 7 pounds in the next like 5 or 6 weeks, but maybe. But they're talking in here that, and I find this fascinating, that even if you do these food changes and exercise changes, you may not always resolve that plateau. And honestly, that is not helpful, but helpful to set my expectations, because I've been thinking somewhat recently, if I'm brutally honest, that I've been somewhat of a loser, and a loser not in the sense of losing weight, of like why I've gotten so far. And this has been major for me. I've never lost this amount of weight and kept it off my entire life without having to resort to like really unhealthy practices, and doing this in a really helpful and mindful way. And so I felt like, gosh, why can't I? And there's a lot of us out there that are like that. So if you are like this, or if you're just starting your journey, I think it's very helpful to think with the end in mind, although there's no end. I'll be on this probably the rest of my life, of knowing that other people are going through this too, I think is super helpful. Now, some of the things that I have done that I've been adamant about are taking Gem Bites. Gem Bite. They are the most fantastic. It's my daily vitamin supplement. And many of you guys know I've been on this for a long time, taking Gem Bite. Let me go ahead and pull them out. They taste so delicious, by the way. They're so delicious. This is what they look like. I traveled with mine because I love the pouches. And so this one is somewhat, it was well lived and that's what they look like. They have made such a big difference for me in terms of my health and making sure I'm getting nutrition. Because while my appetite suppression has waxed and waned, it has been super helpful to know that I'm getting my nutrients in, my daily nutrients in for the day through Gem Bites. And I continue to take them because I continue to have good results on them. My blood work's been excellent. I attribute that to Gem because I'm getting my nutrients in. And it has, by the way, this is always one of the biggest things I like to share with people, pre and probiotics. So if you're having gastrointestinal issues, which, hello, if you are on Zepbound or Mounjaro, those are like the biggest side effects are tummy issues. Pre and probiotics, I used to take them separately. I don't, because I have Gem Bite, it has pre and prebiotics and probiotics included in there as well, which is one of the many reasons why I like them. In addition, I also like them because there's no isolated pills, powders, gummies that can be synthetic ingredients and fillers. You won't get the powerful antioxidants and phytonutrients you can only get from real food. And nutrients you get from Gem are more bioavailable than what you get from synthetic vitamins. I've shared my story about how I was taking gummy vitamins, and my dentist is like, what are you doing to your teeth? She was very concerned about my mouth with gummy vitamins. That's why I love Gem Bites, because it's real food. And with the cute pouches, it makes it really, I've been traveling a ton, makes it very easy to pop in my suitcase, to pop in my travel bag, and they taste great. They taste great. So highly recommend. Make sure you go to dailygem.com/queen, use the discount code QUEEN, and you can take advantage of 50% off your first month. Highly recommend. Highly, highly, highly recommend. That, in addition to weight training, has been huge for me. And being more mindful of, I've been tracking calories. And so if you feel like you're also one of these people too, that you're like, holy moly, I'm not getting anywhere, or you feel like you're like in a mouse, like running in one of those wheels, this is helpful at least to know that other people are having that. And so going over, so there was Dr. Mir Ali is in this article, it's a medical director, went through saying the studies I have seen say that patients tend to plateau with semaglutide at 60 weeks. So just like how Dr. Jenna was talking about, 60 weeks. So that is over a year, which is pretty good, said Dr. Ali. Indeed, many people find that weight loss method of any kind may stop working for a while. And it's true for conventional diets, exercise regimens, and so on. And so the point at which your metabolism is equal to how much energy you intake through food is when the plateau hits, says Dr. NG. Was one of these doctors in this article, the science-based article. And so knowing that increased physical activity can further decreasing food example, it's going to change your energy balance. And so for me, this has been one of the things with it as well, is I have a lot less energy than I had because I'm eating less energy, calories. I'm working out more. And so for me, I have more energy, but I'm also tired, if that makes any sense. And if that is you, know that that's part, like for me, that's been part of this energy exchange with it as well. It goes through talking about ideal targets, may be different from what's healthy for their particular body and may often be the source for those experiencing plateaus. Dr. Lee goes on saying, is to focus in on doing the right things, eating healthier, exercising, and don't worry about the weight. You know the goal is to try to get and have better health, Dr. Ali says. And so I would agree with that too. If weighing yourself is triggering for you, stop weighing yourself for a while. You can use other units of measurement, which I've done a whole video on, which is photos. Using my tape measure, do I have it over here? My smart tape measure, it's an electronic, I am so mad at myself that I don't have it sitting right here. It's a smart tape measure. It'll sync to your phone in addition to your the weight scale that I recommend. And they also have a blood pressure cuff that will sync there too, which is amazing. They'll sync all of those things together. That is awesome. Unit of measurement, photos, and particular clothes like pants. I have certain pants that I can put on. Today my jeans were a bit tight. I just got back from a vacation. I knew my jeans were tight. I'm like, she gained some weight. And I'm choosing not to get on the scale for 2 days, which I normally weigh myself every day, but I'm choosing not to do that because I don't want the mental, like I am in it and I don't want to like anything to rain on my parade right now. I'm fighting hard. I'm fighting hard for this weight loss. And so that's one thing that I want to encourage you too is know yourself well enough to know if weighing yourself every day is a trigger, then stop. Focus in on what you can control. Things I can control, things I can't. I can control what food I'm putting in my mouth. I can control the level of activity I'm doing in a given day. I can. And my Aura Ring, which tracks my activity, is actually charging right now, but that has been so helpful for me. Someone had recommended, and I'm gonna go back to this trial study, the Apple Watch, actually it was my aunt, for AFib. In our family, we have AFib, and so that's where your heartbeat is irregular. With apparently the Apple Watch, which the Aura Ring does not do. The Aura Ring will tell you how many beats per minute. But apparently the Apple Watch will do like a EKG essentially. I just found out the Google Pixel Watch will do, because I'm a Google girl. The Google Pixel Watch will do the same thing with the EKG. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. So anyways, I wanted to share that with you. I will be testing. The accountant I've been going over. He's like, do you want one more thing? I'm like, I do. I really want to see on there because our family has AFib. It's genetic. I don't know if AFib is genetic. I'm assuming it is, but a lot of family members have it. And so I'm like, I've had EKGs, but the family members who have had AFib have all said that they've had EKGs and they all came up normal. So anyways, I digress. That's kind of a tangent off of this, but I wanted to share that with you in terms of activity level was the point in which I was talking about. I will be testing out the Google Pixel Watch. I don't have one for the EKG on there. Let's go back over to talking about this article. The trial notes the long-term safety of tirzepatide is unknown. The triple agonist, mincing 3 hormones, mincing? Mimic? It's supposed to say mimicking, but it says mincing. No, no, I don't, maybe I'm reading that wrong. Maybe it is mincing. 3 hormones, retatrutide is also under review. Dietary changes are more powerful than medication. And so this is one of the other things that I know some people who are in the chronic obesity management camp get triggered when people are like, calories in, calories out, workout. I'm like, dude, I did that my whole life. And I was it was morbidly obese, not just obese, but morbidly obese. And so when I hear sometimes it's about the food, it's about the, like, for me, it has previously been triggering of like, that's what I was doing. But I feel like the more it's learning a new skill set. And I look at it from the business vantage point of like in my business, to have my business go to the $1 million level, I had to learn a certain skill set. To get my business to the $10 million level, I had to get my business to a certain skill set. I'm currently working to get to $100 million business level, but not there yet. Still learning the skill sets. And I want to say, and that's what I'm equating myself because that feels comfortable for my weight loss journey, that I'm learning new skill sets along this road. And how do I do this as a wife and a mom and a business? Like, how do I do all these things for weight loss? It's so foreign to me at times. And for me, it's weird. And I don't know if you guys can relate to this. At times I feel so, smart in some areas and then so dumb when it comes to weight loss. I feel like an infant or like now like a toddler, maybe not an infant, but like a toddler or like a pre-K or a kindergartner of like so inept when it comes to weight loss for certain things that I'm still learning. I was tracking my food. And when I was on vacation, I did not track my food. I had tried one day and I was like, forget this. Like I tried, but wasn't crazy compulsive about it. But tracking my food for me has been so eye-opening of my portion sizes of like, oh, okay, that's like 500 calories. If I'm almost 6 feet tall, 1,500 calories, that's a third of what I'm eating today. Do I really want to eat all that? It's been very interesting for me. So I used to get, for example, these big tortillas to do sandwiches with. Well, someone had recommended, they're like, they have these 25 calorie small tortillas. One of my besties, David, had recommended this to me. He's like, get one of these, they're 25 calories for these small tortillas and you can still have that like sandwich element of it, but it's not 70 calories, 100 calories or whatever the tortillas are. And that like little modifications like that. So I did that today. I had that today with my little egg sandwich. I had that and then a little bit on the side just for the calorie component, not of like carbs per se, which I still like to do low carb, but it was so helpful for me of learning these portion sizes and making small modifications on them. That's why I'm saying I feel somewhat inept of like, I don't know, like I just don't know. And I'm still learning the food stuff. And I'm still learning a ton about workouts, but workouts, excuse me, feel more comfortable because I was an athlete in high school. I know many of you guys were too. And so getting back into that, it feels very natural. There's muscle memory. Like our muscles don't forget. There is literal muscle memory with that. And so in my earmuffs, if you've got kids, don't let them listen to this part. In my SA recovery, learned a tremendous amount about muscle memory and how your muscles have memory on that. And so the same goes true, you can take your earmuffs off. The same goes true for lifting and for working out is that our muscles remember that. And so that's been one of the coolest things about working out for me is like, oh my gosh, like going back to being like 16 years old and like doing all these things. And now that I'm doing them in my 40s, I'm like, oh, like it feels natural. That does feel natural. Where some of this other food stuff, I'm like, I feel like a turtle on my back. And so I hope this information, so takeaways from this. One, you're not alone. And so that to me was really, really helpful of why it feels like weight loss drugs are not working, but they actually are. If I were to get off on these medications, I know I would gain all the weight back. That's just me now. I know many of you guys have been successful. And we know that it was approximately, it was like 68 or something like that percent. I'm going to say 70%. So 1/3 of people were able to keep the weight off. When they go off, 70% within a year gain it back. That for me, I'm like, no ma'am, Pam, I'm 100% in that 70% category of people gaining the weight back. It's just not worth it to me. And so how do I make this sustainable? How do I make this a lifestyle? And one of our awesome viewers, Cloaky, has kind of coached me through our comments. So Cloaky, if you're watching still at this point in the video, I appreciate you. He had talked about that the medication is in fact working. And that's been very helpful for me to know too. And I do believe that, I really do. Because when I had the delay of like where I stopped taking Zepbound, I wasn't able to because I was traveling for 11 days. That was not pleasant. The extra 4 days for me was not fun. And so that shows me that I can't get off this medication. But it's helpful to know that there's like a point. And it's interesting from this article of where it's the Medical News Today article around the 60-week-ish mark is helpful to know. And for you watching, this is not for everybody too. I always feel like I feel like it's a given, but I'm going to make sure I say it. But to me, it's a given is like, not everybody is the same. When I was on the Oprah show, the gala I was with, Amy, she was a hyper responder. She's lost a ton of weight. Her legs look so beautiful. She's got the most beautiful calf. She's an itty bitty size. She looks like she's like a size 2. She was obese, over 300 pounds. And now she's this itty bitty little thing. And so not everybody's the same, right? Like I erroneously was like, okay, well, she started before me. I'm gonna be like that, and that's just not been the case for me. And it's not like I've not been trying, and it's not like many of you have been trying, not been trying either. And so our bodies are all different, and so we're gonna have different responses to that. And so some people within this article can resonate, and some people cannot resonate, and that's also okay too. So don't come in the comments for me and be like, well, like, no, everyone's experience is valid. My experiences are valid. Your experiences are valid. They're valid. But I do always want you to talk to your healthcare provider. There's not medical advice. It's super important that you have a relationship with a healthcare provider to go through and have a dialogue with. So I hope this information's been helpful. It was helpful for me. It made me just feel normal. If anything, the mindset part of this is a daily thing, and I hope that's why you click like and subscribe so you can daily see videos and get daily encouragement. Hopefully that's my intention of why I've been doing this now for almost 2 full years and have like over 400 videos is daily encouragement, because daily what we do is really what matters. Your question of the day is, what are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? Would love to know in the comments. 2, our emoji of the day is going to be a gem or a diamond, because we're talking about gem bite. You can go to dailygem.com/queen, QUEEN. Use the code QUEEN for 50% off of your first month. My favorite daily vitamin supplements. They are amazing. And put down below the emoji of the day, which is a diamond or a gem. That will signal to me 2 things. 1, it will help me to get to know you better because I truly do care. And 2, I will pray over you. If you don't believe in prayer, no worries. I'll uplift you in positive thought. Sweet friends, I love you guys so much. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shop, and count my blessings because life is delicious. I will see you tomorrow. Mwah. Love ya. Bye, guys.